Scottish poet Robert Burns once wrote, "The best laid schemes o' mice and men gang after glee," which means the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. He wrote this poem when he disturbed the burrow of a mouse, and he reflected on what it means to have a plan and then have those plans ruined by something external. Solomon ibn Gabirol also wrote about planning for the future. He wrote, "Plan for this world as if you expect to live forever, but plan for the world to come as if you expect to die tomorrow." I'll say that again. Plan for this world as if you expect to live forever, but plan for the world to come as if you expect to die tomorrow. What do these two writers, one Jewish, one not, what do they teach us about planning for the future? And just to be clear, it's Rabbi Burns, who is not Jewish, even though the Scottish Jewish community likes to celebrate Burns Night as Rabbi Burns Night. It's not, it's Rabbi, as in Robert Burns. What do these two authors teach us about planning for the future? The reality is that we can make the best plans possible and they can still be undone. For example, you could get COVID and your family could get COVID, and then you have to work from home for 2 weeks so that you don't infect everyone else. What does that mean for us to make plans and then have those plans overturned? Well, Ibn Gabirol, I think, shares something really important. By saying plan for this world as if you expect to live forever, he's saying that it's important that you make plans, and ambitious plans. It's important that we don't just go through our days in the hope that something good happens. We need to plan to try to make those good things happen. But the second half of his maxim says that we need to understand that sometimes even the best laid plans go wrong. Sometimes they are waylaid. And so what do we do in such a situation? Well, on doctor's orders, you're meant to rest a lot. But you can also use the time for a different purpose. Nachum of Gamzo had an interesting saying, "Gam zu lotova," even this is for good. And so whenever anything bad would happen to him, he would say, "Gam zu lotova," even this is for good. That can be a very difficult theology and philosophy to hold. There are certain things in this world which are objectively terrible. Certain ways of people dying, certain tragedies that happen, that are just bad things. And it's very difficult to turn around then and say, "Gamzu l'tova," even that's for good. But I think what Nachum of Gamzo is teaching us is that we can try to make the best out of a bad situation. Gamzu l'tova doesn't mean this is objectively a good thing, but subjectively, I'm going to make this into something good. So we can make our plans and be aware that our plans might change and appreciate that that too can be good. We can make that a good thing too. So as we come to Shabbat, particularly this Shabbat of Rosh Chodesh Av, Av is the month particularly when we celebrate the 9th of Av, or commemorate, I should say, the 9th of Av, which is a terrible day in Jewish history. And as these terrible things happen to the Jewish community, I'm sure the people who were experiencing them didn't say, "Oh, Gamzu l'tova, oh, even this is for good." As the Crusades are starting, as pogroms are going through Europe, as Jews are being slaughtered, as the temple's being destroyed, I'm pretty sure people didn't stand there and go, "Oh, well, this is pretty good too then." But we can make something good even from something negative. And I believe that that's one of the most powerful messages of the month of Av. Not to ignore bad things that have happened to the Jewish people, but to try to turn them into something that we can use positively. We can use our grief, our mourning for all these terrible things to try to make sure that such things don't happen again in the future. So the best laid plans of mice and men may often go awry. The question is, how do we respond to that? Do we sit there helplessly and say, well, it's all ruined now? Or do we turn around and say, well, this is now what's happened, so now the plan changes? Shabbat gives us an opportunity to reflect, to stop, to pause, to reflect on the week that we've had and to think about next week. What are our plans for next week? And if those plans do go awry, then how are we going to adapt? I won't be able to join you for our Shabbat services today because I'm still in quarantine, but the plans changed a little. I will still be able to join for Torah study, which is on Zoom. Cantaliana, of course, is going to be leading our Kabbalat Shabbat and our Shabbat Shacharit service for this coming Shabbat. And so even though I may not see you physically, hopefully I'll see you at Torah study. As our plans change, we develop and grow, and my plan is to be back in services next week. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.